But do you understand why? Do you understand why a one-word domain name has value? Hey, Chris Zuiker with Media Options help companies to acquire the raw version of the brand, broken some of the best domains on the planet. Check that out over at MediaOptions.com. Check out DNX.com. Check out ChrisZuiker.com. Check my podcast. I do a daily podcast. I'm on almost like episode 600 now. So I'm like 2 years worth of podcast. But it's into my journey into domaining, negotiating, life, being an entrepreneur, you name it. I talk about it, but it's usually about 5 to 10 minutes. Okay, topic today is this, but do you understand why a one-word domain name has value? Now, the reason I'm bringing this topic up, I was listening to a couple other people in the industry. Listen, this is like one of those questions and one of those statements that just comes up over and over and over again. Like, hey, this is a one word. Like, this is, you need to own this. It has value. It's like, it's what you need for your brand. And now listen, all these comments are true. And they're true, like there's value. There's value in simplicity. There's value in effortlessness. There's value in owning the raw version of your brand. Okay, my thesis is your brand, your domain name equals your brand equals your brand equity. Okay, by owning the simple and most effortless version of your brand. Okay, if you're Hive, you own Hive.com. If you're Carrot, you own Carrot.com. If you are Twist, you own Twist.com. If you're Plume, you own Plume.com. Okay, on and on and on and on. Is that it creates this effortless path. Okay, and that effortless path is rewarded with trust. Okay, because you're not having to talk about your brand in this negative light. You're talking about your brand in a positive light. Okay, and so those are all good. Okay, it all makes sense. But why? What's the value? What's the inherent value? And why do domain names sell for 6 figures, for 7 figures? Like why? Okay, is it because they're short? Because everything that's short is worth more money? Well, that's not the case. I know of a two-word domain name recently that sold for a little bit under $10 million. Okay, now this two-word domain name was a category-defining domain name. It was like 12. It was like 12 to 14. I think it was 12 letters. It's a long domain name, and you're thinking, well, if that sold for that, shouldn't a shorter domain name sell for more? Well, no, not really. Okay, my view on domain valuations and how we do domain appraisals. Okay, if you need a domain appraisal, reach out to us. Love to help you. Okay, it's got to make sense because we do charge money for it. I do have to stop what I'm doing, selling domain names to do it. But my thesis, okay, and how I explain it is there's 3 pillars. Okay, the first pillar is the raw equity. There's brand equity, and there's perceived equity, and this explains the valuation for a domain name. Okay, it's not an easy one, okay, because there's a lot of different little levers in there that go into this. But raw equity is one of the reasons why a short word has value. Okay, a one-word domain name has value. Okay, and even with a one-word domain name, I mean, there's going to be values all over the equation here. Okay, there's one-word domain name. It was 3 letters that we sold was in the low 7-figure range. Okay, let's say $2 to $5 million. Now there's a 3-letter domain that we sold that was in the $100,000 domain names. Okay, completely different. But raw equity is one of the ways that explains this, okay? Raw equity is how much momentum is behind that keyword. So if you go to Google and you look at what the search volume is on that keyword, that gives you an idea of this. Now, if that search volume is coupled with like a PPC, high PPC, what that means is that companies are willing to pay to advertise for that keyword. And the more companies that are willing to pay for that, the more valuable it is. Okay, now why would companies pay for this keyword? Well, they pay for it because A, it represents their industry, B, that represents their brand, or it's like there's an ability to conversion in there. But it's one of those different ways, right? I mean, you wouldn't see Apple, maybe Apple, they wouldn't necessarily advertise for Quilt, okay? But there's still a lot of people who advertise for Quilt. There's still a lot of momentum behind that, okay? Now, the conversation is this, is like, well, Chris, that's Quilt, that's only for the quilting industry. And it's like, no, listen, like we're well beyond that today, okay? That like branding is well beyond that because now, what you're looking for is you're looking for brands that connect with your mission, that connect with your ethos, that connect with what you're doing, and that somehow have this play to what the industry that is play to what like why you're different in differentiation to your brand, to your people, to your culture, to your brand equity, okay? And so there's this carryover. And so what you're finding is that words that mean something, okay, there's momentum behind them, there's goodwill behind them. You certainly would not brand on a word that wasn't good. So let's say it's virus.com. I mean, I have no idea what's on there. Okay, no idea. But listen, you wouldn't like if you're something that like you're an insurance company, like that's the last thing you would take. Okay, so that's There's logic behind this, but there's brand equity. Okay, there's brand equity. I mean, I'm sorry. There's raw equity. Okay, there's raw equity behind that domain name. I don't know. I don't think anyone's paying for it. But what my point is this, okay, is that brands, like domain names that, okay, your domain name is just your brand, okay, like it's a keyword, okay? So often this industry we get stuck on, it's the domain name, like you need this premium domain name to like do well, and it's like, no, you need to own your brand. You need to own your brand because your brand equals your brand equity, okay? It's this process and this thought of creating simplicity. Now, Segal and Gale did a study, simplicityindex.com, you can go over there. I think it's simplicityindex.com. If it's not, they're not being simple, okay? But you can go to Segal and Gale, and they did this study, and they showed that there's billions, and like maybe hundreds of billions left on the table every single year because brands create confusion. They don't create this simple path interaction. Okay, your domain name is the start of that. Got to create a simple path. Got to make it effortless because this effortlessness leads to brand equity, okay? Which is this thought of higher conversion, this thought of higher trust, this thought of being able to communicate and word of mouth for your brand. Okay, that's why if you go backwards, brand equity equals your brand equals your domain name. Okay, you got to have it. Okay, this is it. Okay, but I'm gonna get sidetracked. Great domain names have value. Okay, they have value. They cross over to multiple categories. Look at a company like Carrot.com, for instance. Okay, he bought that domain name. It was over mid six figures. I forget the exact number, $650,000 what he bought it for. But guess what? Like there's multiple companies that have a interest, okay, the second pillar, brand equity, in the keyword carrot. But only one company will own Carrot.com. Only one company owns the simplicity and effortlessness. These other companies want to say, hey, don't go over here, okay? Go over here, right? Because we're over here. And you look at a Hive.com. There's like over 12 companies that have raised over $1 million, okay, with Hive in their brand. That would love to own that, but only one company can own that, okay? And so that's why there's value, okay? There's value. It crosses over multiple industries, and it's this thought, this new way of branding today, okay? This new way of communicating your brand, and the internet just truly changed the game forever because although we think it's well diversified, listen, it's also it's very siloed, right? So if you're looking at carrot, how many different carrots can there be? How many different hives can there be? How many different quilts can there be? How many different trunks can there be? How many different, go to our website, look at the different brands. One will always own the leadership position. And if they do a great job, they put the money behind it, like they dominate, and it's truly the biggest risk that a brand has when you don't own the raw version of your brand. Okay, long video here today, but that's, hopefully you see it, okay? This thought of raw equity. Now, if you put brand equity into it, like it's a whole other, like, it's a multiple other equation. Then you put perceived equity into it, and now you're in a different galaxy potentially, okay? Maybe not, but that's the reason why one word domain name has value. Hope you enjoyed this. Go over to chriszuiker.com. Check out my podcast. Go to dnx.com. Make sure you apply if you're in the market, okay, application only. Go to mediaoptions.com. Check out the great domains we have. Check out my YouTube channel. Do a lot of videos over there. And most importantly, hey, if you found value, share this video up.